What is up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. And today's video is going to be about what if yandere female Itachi loved Naruto. Let's get into the video. So if y'all have been wondering where I was on vacation. So yeah, now let's get into the video. Chapter 1. The whistle, I think that says, jumps the fox. I don't know, because I'm not trying to read this. It is late at night. And even though my family is not asleep, I'm still doing this video for you guys. So yeah. It was a beautiful day in Konoha. Naruto Uzumaki went training in the forest in privacy. Normally Naruto would train in the training field, but he decided to train alone. Or just to let you guys know, it is an 18 plus. So yeah, like I said, if you don't like any of that, just yeah, 18 plus. So if you're not a kid, get up out of here. Training field, but he decided to train alone and be in the forest right now. Right when he got done, not too far from him was a figure that was on a tree branch watching him, with her Sharingan, looking at the blonde with lust within her eyes. As she began to wall off till she followed him by jumping tree branch to branch. Following the blonde's movement, Naruto turned his head, looking up at the tree branches to see what was there, but it was nothing but falling leaves. He shrugged as he turned his direction back to Konoha until he was greeted at the sight of Sharingan eyes that put him into sleep. "I got you now, Naruto-kun," Itachi said as she carried the blonde boy in her arms and jumping up in the trees, taking him away. Unknown place in Konoha. Naruto had woken up as he looked around in his surroundings, not knowing where he is, as he tried to get up, but he found himself chained to the bed with chakra restraints, draining his chakra. Where the hell am I?" Naruto said as he tried to get out, but then noticed a figure was in the shadows looking at him with glowing Sharingan eyes. "You there, show yourself," Naruto yelled as the stranger walked out the shadows, revealing who it is. It was her. It revealing who it was, but his eyes went wide in shock. "Itachi," he yelled, looking at the raven-haired woman as she walked towards the blonde with a smirk on her face. "I don't know what the hell you want, but you better let me go right now, or..." The blonde suddenly silenced as the beauty before him. I'm not gonna apprentice. Yeah. Hold on, y'all. Okay, y'all, back to the story. Okay, let me find where I am. Before him abruptly sits upon his knees with purple shinobi gear. I glance and he furrows his eyebrows in confusion at her actions. The female Uchiha smiled lightly at his expression of unsettling the orange clad then further as he shuffled uncomfortably, bending her. Yeah, I think that's what it says. I'm not I don't care. Why the hurry, Naruto-kun? She muttered. Naruto jerked at the sound of his name and proceeded to glare at her again. Look, I don't know what you're trying to pull, but I don't have time for this. He growled, still somewhat perplexed by her current location. I need to know. The whiskered teen cut off once more as the sound of popping buttons filled the air. His eyes glued at browed whatever as one by one Itachi unzipped the clips of her cloak and then settled the collar off her shoulders. Naruto glanced, slowly drifting down to the fairly subtle and now very visible cleavage that rests at just about the level of his nose. His cheeks colored and his mouth suddenly went dry, so upon that he thought was upon was he that he hardly noticed as the beauty removed his headband. You know, Itachi muttered softly, clenching the cloth, and metal in her palm and causing the blonde to snap his head back toward her amused obsidian eyes. It's not very polite to stare. The orange clade then gasped met, momentarily, I guess that says, before seeking his head and glaring angrily at her again, through his voice sounding strange and nervous. What in the name of, he exclaimed. Oh yeah, if I haven't said this in in my community tab, this is a fanfic. I did not do this, nor do I know the name of the person who wrote this, because I cannot pronounce names correctly, and I cannot pronounce, much things correctly. I'm sorry. So yeah, let's go back to the video. Itachi titled her head slowly. You don't like it? Naruto jerked again, exhibiting a startled nose at the unexpected curry. What, you? Finally, the whiskered male shook his head a second time, a far bit harder than the first, and glared down his cupper, his cuppeter, I think that says cuppeter, for not the first time that strange night. I don't have time for this foolish game of yours, the Jinchuriki scolded. I need to find, go back home and see my friends, so get off me now. However, much to Naruto's changing, I think that says, changing, the older Uchiha seemed aroused, annoyed, I guess, by the blonde's determined and carefully. She cupped his cheeks with one hand and braced herself on the other. The forgotten headband still clenched within her fingers, so that she might lean forward silently placing herself against the male shinobi. Your friend's Naruto-kun? She sweetly, sweet, she sweetly smiles. What am I not? The next part came out in a low whisper. Good enough for you, as she activated her Sharingan glaring at him. And it was on realization that not only was he now thinking very bad things about his friend's worst adventure, but that he was also thinking very bad things about his best friend's big sister, that Naruto's brain fully went kaput. What? No, forget it. Cause I'm just gonna keep reading. Must not look into her eyes. He yelled, trying to not look into her eyes, but he felt cold still touch his neck, knowing it was a kunai she had. Keep your eyes open and look into mine. Unless you want your throat cut. She threatened, still holding the kunai to his neck. In Konoha, the ramen shop. Okay. I wonder where is Naruto. Has anyone seen him? Said the pink-haired woman named Sakura as she turned to her friends. Kiba, Hinata, Ino, Lee, Neji, Shikamaru, and Tenten were the ones looking at the pink-haired woman. No, I haven't seen him today at all, said Kiba, who was eating his miso ramen. I haven't seen him. You think he went off training on his own again? Ino said as she looked at her friend Sakura. All turned to Hinata. If Hinata saw the blonde-haired ninja, and all she could say was, I haven't seen him all day. I really miss him. I would had seen him. The lavender-eyed girl said with a faint blush on her cheeks just by thinking of her crush. Okay. Troublesome that no one has seen him today. Why not we ask Kakashi-sensei or Hokage-sama? Shikamaru said as he looked at the group. Akatsuki hideout. In the Akatsuki hideout was Kisame, Hidan, Kakuzu. I do not care. Was Kisame, Hidan, Kakuzu, and Deidara, who were sitting down chatting. Oh, oi, Kisame, you and Itachi still going to catch the Nine Tails? Hidan said as he held his scythe. Yes, we're still going to catch that brat. The shark man muttered, having a thought of Naruto. Speaking of Itachi, where is she? Said the blonde Deidara. I don't know. Do you know, Kisame? Kakuzu said, turning his direction to the shark man. He sighed as he said, I don't know either. Maybe she went off. She said she went out for a walk outside, Kisame said. So you have no idea where your partner is, Deidara said in a deadpan tone. If I knew, I'll be saying where she is. Kisame looked at the blonde. Pain and Conan walked in on the scene coming toward the group. What's going on? Pain said in a bored tone, looking at the four men. Was all the four men said as they looked at the Rinnegan wielder. Where is Itachi-san? Conan began as she looked at Kisame. Kisame shrugged. So Itachi went out as she Pain narrowed his eyes. It sounded like it, boss, Kisame said, looking at his leader. Pain said nothing for a while. as he looked away from the group of men. Where the hell are you, Itachi? You better have a good excuse of why you went out, Pain said in thought. Unknown place in Konoha. Stop, stop, Naruto yelled as Itachi stripped his orange coat and shirt underneath. What's the matter, Naruto-kun? We're just getting started, the raven-haired woman said as she leaned in, licking his earlobe, causing him to have a faint blush on his face, trying to not look at Itachi. Stop it, Itachi, he yelled at her Sharingan eyes that was shining. He looked into her eyes deeply. Be a good boy, Naruto-kun, and listen to me. Listen to what your mistress says, she said in a commanding tone, shining her Sharingan eyes at his eyes, causing him to fall into a trance. Naruto's pupil dilated as he fell into her trance by her eyes. Itachi smiled wide, looking at her new toy to play, as she ripped her top off, revealing her large breasts, since her nipples hardened as she smashed her lips to his, causing the blonde to have a faint blush on his face, returning the kiss back to his mistress, their tongues locked to each other. At least they kissed for about 2 minutes. As they broke apart, she looked into his blue eyes while he stared into her red Sharingan eyes. He is a good kisser, I have to say, thought Itachi as she stroked Naruto's chest, but realized he was clothed still. Naruto-kun, I want you to strip your clothes off for me, but I will take off the chakra restraints on you so that we can make love. But if you try to make a attempt to escape from me, I will hurt you. Understand? She said to the blonde-haired boy as he nodded. Itachi took off the chakra restraints as she backed up a little, watching the blonde stand. She still had a kunai in her hand in case he tried to escape. Naruto stood there as he looked at his mistress. He started to take off his clothes until he was interrupted with a voice in his mindscape. Cat, wake up. Don't let that Uchiha, B-word, control you. I'm telling you right now, wake up. Kyuubi yelled, waking the blonde-haired boy up. What? Naruto said as his eyes turned to normal. As he looked at Itachi, his expression changed to anger. Get away from me, Itachi. I won't let you. He was cut off as she cut his right cheek and did two other blows on his chest with her kunai, then smacked him upside the head with her fist, knocking him out. I warned you, Naruto-kun. Looks like I'll have to strip you myself and put those restraints on you. You better be glad I'm not taking you to Pain and have your biju extracted like we did to have all the other Jinchuriki, she said darkly as she began to strip him naked, putting the chakra restraints on him. In Konoha, Tsunade's Hokage Tower. Tsunade was writing paper as usual. She hated it, but she had to do it. She wished she had some sake until the Konoha 11 came in as a group. Well, what is it you guys need? The older woman said as she was writing paper, not looking at the ground, not looking at the group. Lady Tsunade. Sakura started as her master looked up and stared at her student. Yes, Sakura, she said as she stopped writing. We just wanted to ask that we can't find Naruto. The pink-haired teen said, causing Tsunade's eyes to narrow. What you mean you can't find him? She said, looking at the teens. Well, started Ino as sweat formed on her forehead. We haven't seen him all day. We expected him to meet us at Ichiraku today at noon, but he never shown up, Shikamaru said. Tsunade's eyes began to narrow in worry. Did you check at his apartment? The older woman said with a hint of worry. He wasn't there. We checked there, Kiba said. Tsunade sat there in silence for a moment as she was getting ready to speak but was cut off by Hinata. I'm worried about Naruto-kun. I understand he's training somewhere private, but we have to find him. We have to find him. Something could have happened to him. That's it. Everyone find Naruto now. Get Kakashi and your senseis. I want a search party. Look everywhere. In the Konoha. Why would man has bad grammar? I'm just gonna say that right now. Check the forest too. The Hokage yelled as everyone nodded and ran off to go find their friend. Tsunade sighed as she stood up looking out the window. Naruto, please be alright. I'm hoping and praying that the Akatsuki haven't dared to come and take you. I need to contact Jiraiya right now, Tsunade said in thought. Unknown room in Konoha. Okay, this I'm gonna give the warning now. This is where the 18 plus starts. So yeah, warning, rape. Just let you know. What with Naruto still knocked out and naked on the bed, Itachi made her way to his member and was sucking on the head, licking it. She was enjoying this. She was having fun sucking his I'm just should I say it? I'm just gonna say it, his cock, as she trained she tailed her tongue up and down, licking it all away. Naruto, however, was moving. His cracked opened his eyes slightly as he looked down to where his member was being sucked by Itachi. Naruto's eyes widened in shock and fear. Looking at the Uchiha woman that was sucking his member, she stopped sucking and looked at him, activating her Sharingan. So you're awake, Naruto-kun. She spun her Sharingan eyes into his while his pupil dilated as he fell into her trance again. Now, let's get really dirty, shall we? She said as she climbed on top of him and kissed him. Naruto's eyes came back to normal, trying to break out. No, I won't do it with you, he yelled as she looked at him with a frown. You will do it with me like it or not, Naruto-kun, she said in a stern tone, holding the kunai, placing it towards his chest. I don't belong to you or the Akatsuki, he yelled as he gave his chest a cut while with her kunai causing blood to show. Naruto cringed, whatever. when he got cut by her kunai. You belong to me now, Naruto-kun, and no one else will take you from me, not even my foolish little brother. Itachi narrowing her Sharingan. You're wrong. My friends will stop you. Bachan will stop you, and Pervy Sage. Naruto yelled as Itachi stabbed his shoulder with her kunai, causing him to scream in pain. Okay, I think this is by the content creator. Alright, I'm gonna start talking again. You're wrong. I already said that. Enough talk. Let's get down to the real fun, Naruto-kun. She span him to the bed, kissing him deep, deepeningly. Didn't know that was a word, but okay. Deepening it as she brought herself on his member, placing it inside her. What are you doing to my I can't have sex with you, he yelled with a blushed face, realizing she was taking his member inside her. Since I hear you still have a crush on that pink-haired bench. Yeah, I'm gonna say bench instead of the B word. Bench, Sakura, I'm taking your virginity. Itachi hissed as she began to ride his member. Okay? Naruto grunted and moaned when the female Uchiha was riding him so hard and fast. She was tight in her wet wussy. Please stop, Itachi. Stop. No, he said. Please, Itachi, stop. He pleaded, he pleaded, but she on the other hand ignored him and kept riding him. Itachi, please, this is madness. Stop. He yelled, hoping she would stop, but still ignored the blonde as she was riding him harder. She was sweating indeed. Come inside me, Naruto-kun. Come inside me. The raven-haired woman yelled as she kept belching up and down on his member, tensing up. Itachi, I think, he screamed as he shot his cum inside her wussy. Because I don't want to say that on YouTube. Frick was Itachi could say as she felt his sperm hit her wound. She looked at him lustfully, wanting to get effed even more. Much to Naruto, he was tired. It was almost like she was draining energy from the blonde. He was sweating. He couldn't take it anymore. He wanted to go home and wish this was a nightmare rather than a dream. Please, let me go, Naruto said, out of breath since Itachi effed him hard. We're not done yet, Naruto-kun. We've just been getting started, Itachi said with a smirk, eyeing the blonde with her Sharingan. His eyes widened in shock, nervous at what he got to do next. Now, Naruto-kun, I want you to F me, she said in a commanding tone as she unchained his legs from the bed, but kept the chakra restraints on his arms. No, I won't do it, he yelled, but Itachi had an angry expression as she stabbed his right leg with the kunai, making him cringe and scream a little. Either you F me or I will stab you to death with this kunai. She threatened, aiming the kunai to where his heart is. Fine, I'll do it. He was cut off. He was cut off as she pulled his hair, bringing his face closer to hers. And you call me Itachi-chan. Got it, Naruto-kun, the female Uchiha said coldly. Yes, I got it, Itachi-chan, he said, causing her to smile when he put Chan at the end of her name. That's more like it. Now, frick me, she commanded as she laid down on the bed, spreading her legs for him. He entered inside her, thrusting his cock into her insides while her wussy turn, tightened. The two have been effing for 2 hours and haven't stopped at all. They were both moaning and grunting and of course sweating from not stopping. They haven't even stopped for a break. Naruto felt weak when he kept effing his Itachi-chan. He shot more sperm into her wussy, feeling it as she grunted. The next few hours they kept effing Itachi. Itachi held onto her slave, humping him while he thrust inside her vagina. Once again, she moaned and screamed and begging Naruto to F her harder and faster. He did as he was told, and he shot his final seed into both Itachi and Naruto. Screamed each other's names out as they both collapsed on the bed, cuddling each other. 3 days later, Itachi got up a hour later, fully clothed in her Akatsuki cloak as she stared at her slave who was beginning to wake up. Listen, Naruto-kun, I'm leaving for now, but I will return for you. He paled at the thought of her coming back to rape him more. And don't think about telling anyone about me or what we've just done 3 days ago, understand? She said in a serious tone. Naruto nodded weakly as he stuttering or whatever, don't care. Just think of it as our little secret. She smiled, sorry about that. She smiled, getting ready to leave the blonde as she faded away as crows. Naruto lay there, weak and out of energy. He was struggling to get up since Itachi had been stabbing and cutting his legs with her kunai. The blonde walked weakly, holding back to Konoha. Deep down, he was scared, and this was far worse than getting beatings when he was a kid by the villagers in the streets of Konoha. He could still feel Itachi on him, touching him and stabbing him with her kunai. Cat, I'm so sorry. This happened to you, Kyuubi said as the giant demon fox in his cage looked at the blonde. It wasn't your fault. let's just get home. I'm sure everyone's very sick about me. Naruto said to Kyuubi. How would you let that B-word of a Uchiha do this to you? She mentally broke you. The the fox demon yelled at his host. Naruto ignored the fox as he was shaking, seeing images of Itachi rape him as he kept walking, finding his way back to Konoha. Konoha. It it has been 3 days since Naruto had disappeared. Tsunade was very worried. She had sent Anbu teams everywhere to look for Naruto. The Konoha 11 went to go look for him as well, but still no sign of him. Kakashi had went to look for him. The Countess had went to Tsunade to cancel the search of Naruto, but she refused and kept looking for him. Naruto, where the hell are you? Tsunade thought as the window blew past her. As the wind blew past her. Sorry about that. Jiraiya went out of Konoha to find Naruto, even he was worried. Damn brat, you are really worrying us. I really hope that Akatsuki hasn't caught you yet. The old man yelled and thought running to find Naruto. Before Jiraiya could yell out for his student's name, he heard something in the bush as he quickly got into a stance. Come out and face me if you dare. He was cut off as his eyes widened at the sight of who appeared out of the bushes. It was Naruto, who had come out the bushes. His orange jumpsuit outfit had been ruined, and he was covered in blood and looked really weak. The boy collapsed to the ground, but Jiraiya caught the blonde. This doesn't look good at all. I need to take him back to Tsunade. He is in no shape. The older man said and thought as he picked up. Sorry about that, guys. I had to do a quick yawn. As he picked the blonde up and he picked the blonde in his arms. Pervy Sage was all Naruto said as he passed out. Don't worry, kid. I got you. We're going home, Jiraiya said as he ran as fast as he could back to Konoha gates. 6 hours later, in Konoha Hospital, Naruto was being fixed up. He was in a room in the hospital. Tsunade and her doctors used their healing jutsu to heal all the cuts and stabs on Naruto's body. Tsunade had almost wanted to cry when she examined Naruto's body. I think that exposed, I'll say, Naruto's body. Jiraiya glared at all those cuts and stabs on a young boy's body. He was gonna make someone pay for doing this to Naruto. Iruka, because I can't spell for, sorry about that. Iruka's expression was far anger to shock seeing this happen to Naruto. Kakashi came in not too long ago and saw his student in a bed bandage and was asleep. Naruto, the silver-haired man said. All stood over Naruto, looking at him. All stood over Naruto, looking at him. Who would do this, and why? They all said the same thing in their thoughts. Akatsuki HQ. Itachi was in her room sitting there when she thought of her Naruto-kun. Pain Kisame, Deidara, Konon, Hidan, and Kakuzu was at Itachi's door when Pain knocked on it, getting Itachi's attention. Mind telling us where you have been? Itachi, Pain said as he narrowed his Rinnegan at her. Itachi narrowed her Sharingan coldly at her leader. Where I have been is none of your business, Leader-sama, she said back at him. You're going to tell us where you have been, and you better not lie. He said darkly, I have been to the Uchiha district in Konoha to get some scrolls that could prove useful to be when I am able to capture the nine-tailed fox. She lied, hoping that he would fall for it. Kisame looked at his partner. He felt like something was fishy going on with her. Is that so? Pain replied, watching her closely. Yes, and I haven't been caught at all, she said, looking at her leader. Was all Pain said, looking at the female Uchiha as she turned away and left Konan, and the rest followed him. She's lying for some reason. I sense it, but I let it slide this once. Pain said in thought. Kusame looked back at Itachi's room and looked back at his leader. Kisame said. Pain said, yes, Leader-sama. He looked at his leader, scared. I want you to keep an eye on your partner Itachi. Don't even let her out of your sight. He said sternly towards the Sharkman. Yes, sir, Kisame said, and said nothing else. Itachi looked out at her window as she thought of a certain blonde-haired ninja. I will come for you, Naruto-kun. I just need to slip past Pain and Kisame before I go off to see you again and rape you. Alright, sorry about that, because I was thinking about something else. I know Kisame is going to keep an eye on me, but I can outsmart the fool. She sighed in thought as she took off her clothes and Akatsuki robe to get in the shower to wash herself. Itachi was in the shower. As she bathed herself, she stood there letting the water raise her as she keep having thoughts on Naruto. Back in Konoha Hospital, the Konoha 11 stood in front of Tsunade as they looked at the Hokage, wanting to know if Naruto was okay. Hokage-sama, said Hinata, catching the older woman's attention. Yes, Hinata, said Tsunade, looking back at the lavender-eyed girl. It is Naruto-kun okay? Is he awake? Hinata said in a shy-like tone, blushing. Tsunade couldn't help but smile at the Hyuga princess. Hyuga princess, concern for her grandson, was going to reply, well, he is doing somewhat fine. His wounds have been healed, but Tsunade said as she stopped. But what Hinata said back, he is going through something right now. He hasn't woken up yet, but I could tell he's having nightmares. Tsunade said grimly. Nightmares, all the Konoha 11 said in their thoughts. Lady Tsunade. What, Lady Tsunade? What you mean by nightmares? Ino said, wanting to know. Well, how could I put this? He has been crying in his sleep. He hasn't been talking in his sleep The old lady said, I don't know if anyone could go in and see him. I understand he's your friend, but right now he isn't okay. He will wake up soon. Besides, Jiraiya is in the room with him watching him. Jiraiya is going to watch over Naruto. Jiraiya is going to watch over him tonight, Tsunade said. Oh, God, I'm bored. I want to spend the night watching Naruto-kun, Hinata said, shocking everyone. Neji almost wanted to say something, but Tenten stopped him. She knew Hinata had a huge crush on Naruto, and wanted Hinata to watch over her crush. Kiba had jealousy written all over his face because he wanted to be around Naruto this time and not him. He wanted to be around me. Kiba had jealousy written all over his face because she wanted to be around Naruto this time and not him. Okay, I get it now. Are you sure you want to watch over him, Hinata? What would your father say? Ino said, looking at the lavender-haired woman. Don't worry about Hiyashi, Ino. I will tell him that she wanted to watch over Naruto. The Hokage smiled, looking at Hinata when the lavender-eyed girl blushed, thinking of going in there with her crush. Later at night in Konoha Hospital, Naruto's room. Hinata was in the room just staring at her crush when a blush came across her face. Naruto-kun, she said in a whisper, smiling at the blonde boy when he was sleeping. Naruto was sleeping peacefully. Hinata came close to his bed, looking at him as she put her hand cupping his cheek lovingly. Oh, Naruto-kun, if only you knew how I feel about you. She stared at him. Naruto said nothing. He was still laying in his bed sleeping. What should I do? I'm in this room alone with him. This could be my chance to kiss him. No, I can't be like that. I don't want no one to think I took advantage of him while he's asleep. Hinata said and thought, blushing really hard. No, it's not. No, it's now or never. This is my chance to kiss him. She leaned in close on his face and was inches away of kissing the blonde-haired boy she loved. Hinata pushed her lips up against his with a blush. I'm not saying that right because I don't know if the writer is pronouncing this correctly or not. Brush of whatever that is, of love that Naruto was beginning to wake up. His eyes cracked open, seeing a lavender-eyed girl that had kissed him. His ocean blue eyes widened, seeing the Hyuga beauty in front of him. Hinata, he said. Naruto-kun both blushed but looked at each other. In Tsunade's office. Tsunade could only glare at the crystal ball she had from her old sensei as she watched Hinata kiss Naruto. It wasn't just her in the Hokage's office. It was Jiraiya, Shizune, Kakashi, Guy, not spelling his name right, and Kurenai, who had shocked faces at looking at the scene. Jiraiya had a perverted grin and tumbled up to Naruto. He was gonna make sure to talk to Naruto about women when he gets out the hospital. Itachi smiled. Well, Minato Sensei, your son is growing up. A girl had kissed him. Guy smiled still. Guy smirked as he watched Hinata and Naruto. This creator of this fanfic cannot spell Guy's name right. He is spelling it G-A-I. That's not how you spell Guy. At least I think that's not how you spell it. I think he's spelling it in Japanese or whatever. I don't know. Shizune blushed and smirked and smirked and the scene. I mean in the scene, but whatever. Because this man's language is terrible. Him or her, whatever. Kurenai smiled at her student and the crystal ball. She was happy that Hinata actually got to kiss Naruto. Tsunade sat there, grinning to herself. Kushina-san, you will be proud seeing your son. Tsunade said with a grin. 2 months later, in Konoha. 2 months had happened. Naruto was free out the hospital as he and his friends started hanging out. Hinata, however, smiled looking at her future boyfriend. Everything was almost back to normal. Naruto had forgot about a certain Uchiha that was supposed to come back to him, but he planned on going to get his friend Sasuke back. Akatsuki HQ. Itachi got out of her bed. She felt sick as a dog. She couldn't understand why. Why was she sick? She had been throwing up in the bathroom. No one hasn't noticed her sick. She quietly ran back to the bathroom, throwing up once again. What the hell is wrong with me? Why am I throwing up? Itachi thought to herself. Itachi had left the Akatsuki HQ for a while. She made sure no one followed her. 15 minutes later, Itachi has a pregnancy test and used it. She was nervous at first. She didn't want to believe that she could possibly be pregnant, but her worst fear had came true. Itachi's eyes widened at the test as she paled a little, putting her hands on her stomach that hasn't even grown out. She remembered her sexual ramp with a certain blonde ninja. A small grin came across her face. Well, Naruto-kun, seems like you're going to be a father, the female Uchiha said as she put the test away. To be continued. Alright guys, so I'm going to end the video off. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.